Work it, make it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger.
Hey, what happened?
I'm such a rookie.
The quote of today revolves a little bit around the term fear. I try not to fear things that I do not have control of. People live in fear and let it influence their life. I cannot control what will happen tomorrow. I can only control what I am doing now. Just think about that for a moment for me when I finish the introduction here. What has been like the hardest part for you when starting jiu-jitsu? What was like the fear for you when you started jiu-jitsu? Think about that while I finish the introduction here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of I'm Such a Rookie, the podcast about this rookie right here, sitting down, talking to the microphone about his journey, random topics, possibly maybe some interviews in the future. Who knows? We'll see how this goes. I'm going to say just don't expect like a permanent schedule for when episodes come out. I'm just when I have something on my mind or something, I find something online or just something clicks in my head or I may be interviewing someone, I'll just set the microphone up, plug everything in, and we will hit record. As I say, like I'm always such a rookie, because I feel like that there is no finish line when doing jiu-jitsu. I could be a blue belt, a purple belt, a brown belt, and a black belt, but I still feel like when you're doing your classes and you believe that you know the techniques, you believe you know all the positions, you believe you have 100% perfect perfectly finished jiu-jitsu in your own mind, there's always a little bit, like a little pinch, that something will randomly pop up and be like, wow, I did not know that. I just had my microphone with my phone. My phone is okay. But like overall, everyone is still a rookie. The only time that you will know you're not a rookie is when you're going to retire from jiu-jitsu, when your body gets older and you just can't function well, you can't move the way that you used to move, and you just say, hey, I did it. I made it up to a black belt, and I wish I could go further, but I think it's time for me to retire. That, in my opinion, is the finish line of jiu-jitsu. But I do hope for these podcasts that I can talk like a black belt, like I could not saying that I know everything. I'm just saying just talking to you guys, I feel like that I am a black belt in talking, just talking. And I know that there's other people that could definitely one up me in talking, because I've seen people who just ramble and it's pretty cool, and I wish that I could do that, because for each episode, I'm going to try my best to aim at least for 20 minutes because, I feel like a 10-minute video is not enough. If I can at least hit 20 to 30 minutes, that is like a win for me in my book here. So before we go into talking about that term fear, because I want you guys to think about what was the fear for you when you wanted to start jiu-jitsu? Like, was it the people? Was it the way of how it works, the physicalness of it? Was it the mentalness of it, or was it just walking through the door? And I think that's a very interesting way to explain it, because I've heard from a close friend of mine who says that the hardest part of jiu-jitsu is taking your first steps through our door, which when I mean by our door, it's the dojo door of where I go to. And I kind of just think that's like a little bit like just nonsense there, because it's a common thing. Like, we all walk through doors every single day, to a room, to a supermarket, to a store that you like. I don't know. I'm just rambling off stuff, because to me, it is more than just walking through the door. It's like what is behind that door. And maybe now, as I'm talking about, maybe that's what he was trying to say, is like walking through walking through that door because you don't know what is behind it. But for me, it was another term that kind of bumps off of fear. But we'll get to that soon as I talk a little bit about this, about how I'm leading into this term that I'm going to tell you guys. So recently, we had our summer belt and like stripe promotion. It's called belt promotion, but there's going to be some times where there might not be a person getting a new belt. I believe there's I believe that it happens 2 times a year. I feel like in the summer and the end of the year, I feel like that's how it goes. I mean, we had a promotion. The last promotion that I was at, it was during December, and then this one was in the middle of the year, like the summertime. But I was lucky enough to receive my next stripe of my white belt. I bumped up from a 2-stripe to a 3-stripe white belt. And every time that I always get the opportunity to get my next stripe, possibly the next belt, I always reflect back to when I first started. It always pops in my head of just reflecting of like what was the hardest part for me getting up to where I'm at right now. And I feel like it was the fear of trying to commit myself. I feel like commitment is more of a fear than fear itself. Because you can easily walk into a dojo for jiu-jitsu and you can put your gi on, put that belt on, get to the mat, learn from the instructor what is the week today, do the moves, hour goes by, class is over, and you're done. Simple as that. You can go in, do it, and just say, hey, it was fun. I really don't know yet if it is for me. So, see you guys whenever or just never. After that first class, I think in my opinion was just, I had a great time. How can I commit myself more to get to that first stripe? Because after that first class, I was like, this is amazing. I really enjoy what goes on in jiu-jitsu. How can I commit myself and show that I'm worthy for my first stripe? That I want that first stripe, because it is not easy as people think, because you are on the bottom compared to like everyone else, the higher belts, the black belts, the brown belts, the purple belts, even the white belts with a stripe that's only just one stripe, with a belt that only has one stripe. I don't know why I said with a stripe that only has one stripe. That really doesn't make sense. It's just, so you have to, so like I was figuring out like, is three classes a week good to show improvement? Like I was trying to figure out how to commit, how to show that I have the love and passion and I am in it for the long run. Because I feel like that's another thing that people struggle with is committing. Just think about it. Just think about jiu-jitsu as like a relationship in life, because that's what I was thinking about before I started recording, was like, how can committing to jiu-jitsu relate to something in real life? And I feel like committing in a relationship seems like the same thing to me as committing yourself to an activity. Because if you believe that, hey, the first date, which also relates to the first class, if the first date was good and you want to continue on to make things official and better and awesome, you have to put in the love and passion when you commit. So when I say the love and passion, is that you need to show that, like, even when the struggles kick in, or you just cannot get it right, you fail for the day, that you can just remember the love and the passion that you have for this, and you can just keep moving forward. That is something that I believe we all struggle. And once you accomplish your first goal that you want to commit to, I feel like it would I feel like it throws a lot of weight off you. I would say the term commitment for me was trying to get my first stripe. Because I just felt like if I did everything I was told, and even jump into a competition real quick to just show that I am not afraid, that I would at least make something of myself. And I put the effort in. I went to 3 to 4 classes a week. Well, usually it was three classes when I started. And I could, because I saved the weekend for another sport I was doing, but I don't do that sport anymore right now. That sport's on hold. So now it's like 3 to 4 times a week debating on what's going on. And I just kept putting in the work, and I accomplished that goal. And then when you accomplish that goal, you just think to yourself, all right, it's probably smooth sailing right here. No, it's not. What are you going to do to commit yourself even more? And to me, after I got my first stripe, I thought to myself, like, the next commitment is going after the blue belt, you know. So I need to keep on going to getting all those stripes because I really want that blue belt. I feel like that is a better goal than just going for the next stripe. And then after that, when you commit to that, there's more commitment afterwards. There's, like I said, that jiu-jitsu never has a finish line. That's the same way with committing. Committing never has a finish line. I feel like committing ends the same way when you retire. Commitment continues on. Once it's like you commit to that blue belt, okay, what are you going to do now? I feel like I'm going to set my next goal to that purple belt, and then that brown belt, and then that black belt. Because I feel like the stripes are just decoration. I feel like that's a bad term to say, but I'm saying, like, when you're a white belt, the stripes really, really are cool to have. But then I feel like when you get to that blue belt, the stripes are just there, and you're just, you leveled up. That's good. Let's keep going, because then we're going to get closer and closer to that next color belt. And that's what I believe was always the hardest part to me, was always committing. I don't really think that it was the people around me. When I walked in, when I was a little guy, I wasn't a little guy. I was basically a nobody. Let's just say that I was a nobody. I wasn't little. I'm still 6 foot. I'm still 6 foot. Not the same weight that I was. I built a lot of, I would say, muscle for going to the gym 7 days a week. That really changed too when I started jiu-jitsu too. Like, I bumped up a little bit more to my exercises at the gym. But, like, to me, it was never the people. It was never the instructor. It was basically like, if we put all that aside and focus on myself, what is the biggest fear here? And that was committing. And now, as I got my 3rd stripe for my white belt, I feel like I have a good balance in committing by just continuing on. Because when you feel like you have accomplished something, it doesn't end, and you just keep on going. Well, I tried my best to push for 20 minutes, and we barely hit 15 minutes. I feel like I could have talked more, but it's the first episode. It's never golden. So if you guys sat down for this whole fun 15-minute episode, let me know what your biggest fear was. If you have any questions or anything that you'd like for me to talk about, just let me know. And that is it for today's episode. Thank you guys for watching, and just remember that even though whatever belt that you have on, we are still always such a rookie.